this past week. I think I've woken up every other day crying. If I've learned one thing this past year, it's that comfortability, money, success, anything like that, doesn't really change the way that you feel. And all you can really do is understand yourself and know what it is that you need to do for yourself in those moments of lowness or weakness.
Hi, I'm Kyle Kittleson with MedCircle, joined today by entrepreneur and DJ, and I'm sure you've seen her on any of the social media platforms, Charly Jordan. Charly, thank you so much for coming on to share a little behind the scenes, if you will, of your life and your journey in mental health.
Thank you so much for having me. I am super excited to be on here. I've seen incredible things about you guys, and, being able to come onto a sort of platform like this and just talk openly and be more candid where it's like a full interview is always really nice. So I'm excited.
Nice. Awesome. Great. Well, let's start with a nice big open-ended question here. Tell us about your mental health journey.
Oh, it has been quite the experience. I feel like obviously everybody kind of struggles and, deals with different things. Anxiety is a very broad term for, I think, many different things that people feel just across the board. Human beings like to put labels on things. So we're like, this is anxiety, this is depression. But I think that, we all feel the same things generally, but we're all going through very different things. So the journey of, where I started to now has just been a lot of self-realization. I think as you get older, you realize that with time, things usually do get better. And that's, I think, something to really keep in mind, just with any mental health, physical health, just in general. And even, even this morning, it's crazy. This past week, I think I've woken up every other day crying, which is quite the experience, to have the workload and the amount of things and that I do and being in the public eye. And, this is one of the most exciting times of my life, but I'm the most, I try to keep my mental health at the forefront of everything that I do, but it's an ever changing wave. I don't think it's something that you necessarily have control over. There's definitely things that you can do to help aid in that. And that's the best advice I can give people, because the expectation that you're just going to be happy all the time is very unrealistic. And okay to, have anxiety and struggle with things. It's usually your body trying to tell you something. So you should, listen to it and definitely do things to aid it. But, if I've learned one thing this past year, it's that comfortability, money, success, anything like that, doesn't really change the way that you feel. And all you can really do is understand yourself and know what it is that you need to do for yourself in those moments of lowness or weakness to really overcome it. When you're in those moments of lowness, you just feel like the whole world is over, right? You're like, nothing matters. Why am I doing any of this? And kind of just separating those two and, paying attention to it more, I guess. And that's just been my journey the past, 4 years.
Do you remember the first time you felt anxiety? I mean, true anxiety?
I think I was a very anxious child. My home life was super all over the place. So I think I'm just naturally anxious in general, because I'm the oldest of 7 kids and was the only girl and was a second mom. So there's just this part of my brain that kind of switched on that is unable to turn off. I think when you take on the responsibility of taking care of children or other people just in general, you kind of gain this awareness of others. And then it was when I actually signed my full ride scholarship to go to college, which is very ironic. That was the first time that I felt severe anxiety.
And why do you think such a moment that for most people would be very exciting for you was wrought with this intense feeling of anxiety?
I think, again, anxiety is your body trying to tell you something. So even though I was doing something that made sense, right? It's your logical, you go to school, get a degree, get a job, do the whole 9 yards, whatever. I was running track and got a full ride scholarship because my family could not afford to send me to college. And that was the reason that I was going, not because I was ultra passionate about running or anything like that. I was really good at it. I was number 6 in the United States, had a full ride to Cal State Fullerton, wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be an obstetrician, which is delivering babies. And I had this whole path, you know, like my whole family's LDS, like Mormon, very conservative, very strict. And I was waking up every single day for like 3 months, just severe anxiety. I was like, I made the wrong, like, I just felt like I made the wrong decision, but I didn't know why. I was like, everything's good. I'm like, everything's fine. Like, same thing that, you know, you even said when we were talking for a second before this interview. I'm like, everything is fine, but it's not.
Yeah.
And I used to just think I was crazy, but I've come to listen to, you know, that gut instinct and myself, even if it doesn't make sense, because everyone's like on their own journey in this lifetime. And if you just do what everybody else is doing, obviously you're not going to be your happiest. So, you know, I chose to listen to that gut instinct, and like that anxiety went away once I did, which was awesome. I was so much happier, like, even though I may not have had all these guarantees, I was just so much happier, like living my life the way that I wanted to, instead of doing what other people said I should do.
Yeah. I really understand that. And it reminded me of something that I read about you when you had a panic attack that you shared in a separate interview. And you said you were in this van and it was beautiful and you were in a great location and you're hanging out with friends and everything, at least on paper, should be good. And then you're sitting there having a panic attack. And that is a lot of people have experienced something similar where they go, everything should be good. You know, everything should be cool. Why do I feel like it's not? What does that feel like for you when you are looking around going, no, life is good, but my body is making me feel like I'm in danger?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It just makes you feel crazy. You're like, what? You're like, why? Like, that's just
Yeah.
the big, I think you're just like, why? Like, and then honestly, that digs it further into a hole when you're like feeling it and you're just like questioning why you're feeling it. You're trying not to feel it, and sometimes that makes it even worse. And that's why I've just like learned to listen to myself. I've also learned that specifically in that situation, I've been struggling with panic attacks, but even since then, I've identified that substances also play a huge role in anxiety and just that across the board in general. Alcohol, on the other hand, because it is a depressant. And I feel like people just forget this. Like, I know so many people that they're like, I don't know why I'm crying. I don't know why I'm having this freak out. Like, I'm bipolar. Da, da, da. I'm like, you're literally going out every single night and dumping alcohol into your body. Like, that, for me, wine is like a very specific anxiety trigger. I have no idea why, but that when we went out on that picnic, you know, we had like a charcuterie board and wine and like all this stuff, and we were in that van, and that's when all that happened. It was because I was drinking a lot of wine,
Got
which
it.
is, and then, you know, I just have my actual, like, there's alcohol or substance induced anxiety panic attacks, and there's like situational slash just my brain, you know, you call it a chemical imbalance, call it situational, call it whatever you want. Bottom line is, like, you know, I wake up and I'm just crying. You're like, nothing's even happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. But
And
look, that's happened to me before. I've woken up in tears, but it is when I'm in the middle of a deep, dark depression. I know why it's happening.
yes,
It doesn't, I still don't know why I'm crying, because I'm not crying over, like, you know, the death of anything or something bad. I'm depressed, so I'm crying. But for you, you mentioned that you're waking up every other day in tears. Do you know why, or is it still a mystery?
I'm not even sure why I'm waking up crying. Like, there could be a million different reasons. And I
Have you
try to,
ever been in therapy?
yes, I actually started going to therapy 4 weeks ago, and
Oh my God. Well, hey, you're new to the club. Welcome to the therapy club. How do you like it? How do you hate it? Tell me about it.
it's great, actually. I really love talking to her. She's very intelligent. Like, it's really nice to just get your thoughts out in the open and have someone from like a third party perspective just be like, okay, well, this is kind of what's going on. Um, and even, you know, just showing up for yourself for something, I also think is important. Just the act of you knowing that you're talking to someone because you're trying to be better and trying to learn something.
Really good. Yeah. I mean, that's what it is. It is, no one would judge another, very few people would judge another person for going to the gym, to do exercise, to eat healthy, to drink enough water, to stretch, to surround themselves with good people. But as soon as someone goes to therapy, there is a larger group of people who go, now, hold on, why are you going to therapy? That seems silly, you know? And for you to understand the perspective of this is another thing at my disposal to help myself. I mean, that's all it is. It's just another tool.
Really, everybody, I think, should be going to therapy.
Yeah, if you
Like,
can, why not, you know?
and it's great to talk to your friends. Like, some people are like, oh, well, I'll just talk to my friends and family. And that is awesome. But the amount of times that I have done that, and, you just get the most bizarre responses or biased opinions. Like, it is
Yes.
unbelievable. Love my friends to death. But, having that outer perspective, something that's like a little bit more harsh, I think is really nice
Yeah.
because especially in my position, like a lot of times people will just kind of tell me what I want to hear versus or what they think would be like a good move for me in my life, on the grand scheme of things, not just like how I feel personally on the inside. I can spend, it's an active, I think also like being so, I'm 22 and in a very male dominated industry just in general, whether that's DJing or the social media space. Like, I feel like the social media space, online you see a lot of females, but the actual like management and businesses and like things behind the scenes are still very male operated, traditional Hollywood, whatever. And being able to possess like the both qualities of like being emotional and also being business minded, I think are two very rare qualities that people are not able to easily separate. And it's something that like I've been struggling with, like just out here in LA a lot lately, like um finding people that can make decisions that are outside of their work life that are positively beneficial for them emotionally. Like, my relationships and friendships like really don't have anything to do with my work life, or like I just want to be friends with people, spend time with people, surround myself with positive people, doesn't matter who that is, no matter what you do. But a lot of times, especially out here in the industry that I'm in, it's very cliquey, and it's like this very small bubble of people that only spend time with other people because it makes sense, or because of work, or because of this and that. And that within itself leads to like this whole other string of like mental problems. Like, it's so interesting because there's like clinical depression, clinical anxiety, and then there's like the situational stuff, which is very, very real. Like, people really walk themselves into this like reality where they're like, oh, I feel anxiety and depression all the time. And it's like, no wonder you feel anxiety, because all the people that you're surrounding yourself with aren't actually your friends. They don't actually have your best interest at heart. Like, it's like all these people, you're just like you become a pawn in like other people's vendettas and game. And like you just have to keep yourself, like, I think also standing up for yourself is like a huge part of mental health. Like how you're saying, like, oh yeah, like I will openly talk about therapy, I'll openly talk about this, because like you cannot be ashamed of it. You just have to be like, yeah, like this is what I struggle with.
You know, especially in someone in a position of, I consider yourself, you're in a position of power because you have millions of people who will listen to you. And so, you know, when you share that candidness, as you put it, people go, what did Charlotte just say? Because I'm going to listen now. You know, it's different than when I say it, you know, because because people really look up to you in so many different ways. But that being said, I can imagine the difficulty that comes with being open and candid when you are a public figure such as yourself. Why do you choose that candidness and openness when you could easily choose to keep it separate and no one would judge you for that either?
I think that because so much of my life is, I do separate, like I have my personal life and then I have my work life, but so much of my job, at least with what I started off doing, was lifestyle content, right? So I know what it's like to look up to someone. Like I got into what I'm doing because I looked up to someone, and that person specifically, who was Alexis Wren, she's talked a lot about mental health online. She's, in my opinion, one of like the founding godmothers of social media, and actually like being able to create a living off of it. And she was always very open about her struggles and her mental health, and I was just blown away at like how much the internet, the spread of information and like education on that stuff, because like before I was just like, I'm just sad. I didn't know how to describe it. I didn't know that like that there were other people going through that as well. I thought I was like by myself. And I remember just the cathartic experience of at least knowing that you're not alone. And I actually really don't like being candid like that online, but I feel like it's an important thing to do. I think that when you are an influencer or a celebrity or anyone who has an effect on other people, it's important for you to be candid with them and let them know like, hey, I'm not just like this video game character that's like happy all the time and my life is perfect and this, because it creates an extraordinarily false expectation. And when I do that, I also feel like I'm living a little bit of like a double life, which I hate. Like, I don't like doing that. Like, I don't ever want to feel like I have to hide anything from being online, because that's not a good feeling either. When
No.
you're like, oh, don't take pictures of me, don't take videos of me because I'm not Charly right now. I'm not my best.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so it's kind of a double-edged sword, honestly. It's very weird because like I will be candid and the responses that I get are so mixed. Like that's something that's also hard for me too. Like I'll open up about something so personal and people will literally find ways to bash me for it.
I
And
believe it.
that's not a good feeling either. So it's just kind of like this full-blown chaotic, like, there's all these like, why do you do this and da 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 da. But at the end of the day, it's just me trying to be transparent, and the whole reason that I share that stuff is to just let people know that they're not alone.
Yeah, yeah. Well said. Let's talk about Beauty in Pain, your organization.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
So I got this tattoo probably 3 or 4 years ago, and it is a dagger with a rose at the top of it. And I used to struggle in high school with self-harm for a couple of years, and it's crazy because I actually still struggled with it up until last year. And it was obviously harder because I was taking pictures all the time, but it's been an ongoing thing. And it was because I had these panic attacks, and like that was something that just kind of came along with it. I'm very thankful that since I actually don't deal with panic attacks as much anymore, barely at all anymore, which is really great because that was
Yeah,
terrible.
but why do you think that is? Do you think it's therapy, time, maturity? What is that?
I think it was I had to take some steps to ground myself and feel like I had some security to not have panic attacks.
Yeah.
So got my own house.
Yeah.
And
Hey, and gorgeous, by the way. Look at those beams in the ceiling. I mean, oh yes, and the mosquito netting. I love it. Yeah, that is the aesthetic right there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that security is a real thing. People, who really suffer from anxiety, and whether that's generalized anxiety or post-traumatic stress disorder or some type of trauma. I mean, that need that we all have to feel safe and secure is always there, and when that's violated, certainly panic attacks or anxiety are going to come up. So I'm glad that you shared that finding that security and safeness for you has helped alleviate some of these symptoms.
Keyword, nobody else was able to do that. That was something that I actively had. I was constantly like, I was like, oh, I need better friends, I need better relationships, like I need this and this. And I was like looking, searching, and I was like, hold on. That has nothing to do with this. And as soon as I had my own house and started just to find some like my space, which honestly took years like to get to that point. When I started off making travel videos for a living, and I was in a different place every single week. That contributed heavily to I think the unsafeness that I felt, but I
Mhm.
wasn't able to identify that. I was just like, I'm young, I'm free, living my best
Right.
life. But yeah, getting now, like, the panic attacks have stopped so much, which is awesome. But this tattoo symbolizes finding beauty in pain. So the pain is the dagger, the beauty is the rose. And it was a reminder to not self-harm because it's on my wrist. I was like, I'll see this all the time.
Mhm.
And then the vine that kind of goes up into my hand is like symbolic of continuing that self-growth.
How can beauty and pain be used or leveraged to inspire hope for, the young kids and young adults that follow you?
So anyone that does struggle with self-harm, I know that it really does have to do with, like, you just feel like you don't deserve to be here, or you don't deserve this. It's like, why else would you be hurting yourself, right? Like, you should never hurt yourself. Your body is, in the least religious way possible, a temple. It's like your safe haven. It's the one place that is yours that you have control over. Like, do not harm it. And that is just like, there are so many other ways and so many other outlets that you can do. And honestly, I know, and everyone told me this. Everyone told me this exact same thing. And it didn't do anything for me, honestly. Like, people could tell me all the time, like, just don't do it. Like, there's other alternatives. Um, and what it really took was making sure that there were people around me when I was going through that stuff,
Mm.
because I would always isolate myself. And that was, I think, at least 70% of the reason that I would get to that point was because I was like so sad or feeling a type of way and I didn't want to bring anyone down or whatever. So I would just go be by myself. I wouldn't tell anyone what I was going through. And that aloneness just like dug me into this tunnel every single time of being super sad, getting into a panic attack, having anxiety. Like, I have this other tattoo that says isolation is not safety. And beauty and pain have symbols and messages that are like, okay, anxiety is real, but we are better than that. You can get over that. And beauty and pain, selling these daggers has been so crazy to see, like, so many people wearing it and how personal it's been to them. And just even something as simple as having a necklace to remind you, like, hey, there's other people wearing this necklace that
There you
also
go.
the same things. And it's that community. That's the whole reason that I started the brand in general, was to just have a community. That's the whole reason I started Instagram. That's the whole reason I started my Smoke Roses company. It's not because I'm like, oh, I had this absolute dream of, selling necklaces. It's the message behind it and the purpose of it.
It's so real. I mean, this MedCircle for Mental Health Month have talked to um, a lot of people with lived experience like yourself. And we talked to a lot of people who have large public followings like yourself. And what was so interesting is the common thread of when I asked them, well, what helped the most? They didn't say therapy. They didn't say medication. They immediately went to, well, I found a community. I found support. And that looked a little different for different people. But in general, it was finding other people who were going through something really similar. And while all of our journeys are unique, there is a common thread throughout them that we can all relate to. And so I am very confident that, and you're obviously a lot closer to it and probably already know, but the fact that people can buy a necklace and wear it is so much more than buying a necklace and wearing it. They're going, oh my gosh, there is another person out there who has the same type of thoughts that I do, who's had struggled with the same type of stuff I've struggled in. And just knowing that allows me to get through the next day, the next week, the next month. That is a beautiful gift to give. And it was something that I didn't aware. I was aware of the impact of community, but I wasn't aware of how big the impact was. And it's huge. It's huge. What you give people through that is, for many, I'm sure, is life saving.
It's really nice to, I don't know, that you're like taking the effort to, speak to these individuals and like actually understand, because everyone from the outside, when you look at social media, when you see so many people part of something, you're just like, why? Like, why does anyone care about this? Like, it's just a person. You're like, why do they have X amount of followers? Like, what are they doing? Like, everyone knocks what I did for so long, and people will say, oh, well, they're conceited, they're narcissistic, they're this and this. But it's really just putting yourself out there to find other people that you connect with, to find that community. And I just feel super lucky to actually be a part of a generation that is able to do that. Because, if you want to talk about mental health, even the generation, like my parents' generation, not having the ability. I was talking to someone about this yesterday, like the fact that we literally have the ability to not just surround yourself with people that live near you anymore. Like that's literally what it used to be. It's like school, businesses, and work. Like you literally only had access to the people that were living around you. And it's like, hope you figure it out. Like, hope you like it. And with social media, the amount of spread of information of like, oh, there's this person that lives a country over or a state over or even a city over that has all the same interests as me and actually like thinks the same way. Like that just used to not be a thing at all. And even though I do struggle with, mental health and like all these things, I'm also very aware of the fact that I'm part of a very hypersensitive generation. So I try to not discredit what I feel, but definitely like I'm super like scientific in the way of like, okay, we are human beings, we're hunter gatherers, whatever. We're supposed to be outside running, doing all these things. Like this online stimulation is also can contribute to anxiety too. So I'm very aware of the fact that like balance and moderation is super important. So I do love my job, but I also try not to consume content anymore because it definitely stresses me out sometimes.
No question. I mean, when I cleaned up my Instagram and my personal TikTok, life got a lot better because you just got to watch who you're allowing into your brain, because if you see images, video every day of something that makes you feel bad, less than, social comparison, they disagree with you politically, emotionally, personally, whatever, that is going to take a toll, y'all. And man, I would remember getting off Instagram and going, oh, I feel bad. Like,
yeah.
spent 15 minutes on Instagram and now I feel bad. And then what do? I'm like, oh, I feel bad. I need a distraction. Well, I go on another social media app to get distracted again. And it's this cycle, they get you addicted like that. But to your point, that community that can be discovered on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram is real. It has saved people and given them, for many people, a second chapter of life. They go, wow, I found my tribe here. Charly, this has been a wonderful conversation. Where can people learn more about you and Beauty and Pain?
So as you guys know, my name is Charly Jordan. It's LY at the end, and that's literally what it is across Instagram, YouTube, just every single platform, Snapchat, we got TikTok, and you guys can check me out on all of those. And if you want to check out any of my other companies that we talked about, Beauty and Pain, and it's just beautyandpain.com. Guys, subscribe to my YouTube. That's really where I talk a lot about where can I have my whole journey, just for everyone there. So thank you so much for watching and asked incredible questions. I appreciate it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for being here. And we will link to all of Charly Jordan's stuff below, and her websites and social media.
Find me on Spotify.
And on Spotify, I mean, entrepreneur and DJ, okay? Yeah, get that Spotify playlist. And hey, it's Thursday right now, so maybe I'll listen to Charly Jordan tonight while I take a mindfulness self-care break. There we go. All right. Well, thank you, Charly. And really thank you, because there are a lot of people with big platforms, and I'm all about using your big platform however you want. But for those who decide that they want to give a nod to mental health, help their followers destigmatize mental health, I mean, an extra round of applause from myself and MedCircle. So thank you, Charly, for all of that. And most importantly, y'all, remember, whatever you're going through, you got this.